Alright, hi guys, my name is Robert, and today we're going to talk about do violent video games actually cause aggressive tendencies. To start off, I just wanted to introduce my thesis statement. My thesis statement is basically, I'm just here today to confront the growing problems with those saying that violent video games do cause aggressive tendencies. And by aggressive tendencies, I basically mean like violent behaviors. For an example I can provide is when their parent is telling the child to oh, your hour was up, you need to get off now, and the child is just, their emotions are all over the place and you just want to keep playing. So before we go into history, I basically just want to go over my general purpose and specific purpose. My general purpose, obviously, just to persuade you guys. My specific purpose is to persuade that violent video games do not cause violent behaviors. And my first example is from the American Psychological Association, basically APA, very credible source. And they basically say that they consider violent video games as a risk factor for aggression. Now, my rebuttal for that is, I don't really think it's about the violent video game. I think it's about the person itself, because the person that's playing the video game is controlling their emotions. The video game is just a video game. It's not really controlling their emotions. And I'm gonna be going over the emotions and all of that later on in my solutions and my conclusion. So stay tuned for that. But based on my history, to fully understand the topic, you need to understand the history. So this video game was the first violent video game created, and it's actually a real picture of it, and it was created in 1976, and it was called the Death Race. And in the Death Race, basically, to sum it up for you, it was these gremlin-looking figures, and they would run over these stick figures and turn them into tombstones. And why people thought it was so addicting, and then like why it was so violent, was because there was actually blood in the game, the first ever blood that was made in the game. So people didn't really know what to think, and then they would freak out because they weren't used to seeing this in a video game. And as time goes on, these franchises realize that they're making so much money off of these video games, so they create more violent video games, like Mortal Kombat, the Call of Duty franchise, etc. And sorry about that. Okay. So moving on, graphics comparison. Graphics are a huge factor in violent video games. Here on the left, we have Black Ops 2 that was made in 2012. On the right, Modern Warfare 2019. Same franchise, Activision. But on the right, you can see a clear difference. There's all the shadows, the terrain looks super real. And you can see the gun reflection from the sun. And then, my main point from this slide is that people are more addicted to better graphics because it looks real, you know. Everyone wonders how it is to shoot a gun in real life. Not a lot of people get the opportunity. So they go on and it looks all real. And obviously it's super addicting. But you know, most people just play for fun because it's a fun experience. I mean, look how beautiful the game looks. Moving on, why violent video games are so addicting. So, as I stated before, the graphics, huge factor. Streamers, to sum it up, streamers are basically people that live stream these video games, and a lot of people that watch them, obviously, they're like, oh, let me play this video game because my favorite streamer or YouTuber plays this. So that's why these video games are so popular nowadays. And their friends, obviously, girls play video games as well, but a lot of boys, they talk about new video games coming up. They want to enjoy it, you know. If you're not involved in any extracurricular activities, you know, it's always a fun experience to hop online with your buddies and just enjoy a couple rounds of a video game. And another example that I have is the UN-led study into the phenomenon of emotion-induced blindness has shown that people who frequently play violent video games are more immune to disturbing images. So this supports my argument because it states that people that play video games, they're gaining something out of it. They're more immune to disturbing images. So later on in life, they're not really traumatized or shocked by any disturbing images because they're already used to seeing these in video games. It's a weird concept, but it's an interesting study that they did. Okay, so why parents should be less concerned? They should be less concerned because it's just a game. Nothing is real. And according to web psychology, violent video games can give you essential skills like problem solving, improve hand-eye coordination, and improve memory. These are all super essential skills that you can use for a job, you can use at college, you can use in school. And even from my personal experience from playing video games, these are true and you can actually get these skills. And they've helped me in life so much more. Like for example, problem solving. If you ever, say, you get in a situation where you just don't know what to do and it requires a lot of, say, memory and problem solving, boom, you got it from a video game, you can act quickly. Okay. So yeah, conclusion, basically emotions. Sorry, my conclusion is basically that people don't really gain aggressive tendencies from the violent video game itself. It's from the person and their emotions. So, for example, if someone has anger issues, obviously they will get more emotional and emotionally tied to the video game. Therefore, they're getting aggressive tendencies. And my final example is Dr. Craig Anderson, a professor at Iowa State University, stated even with the characters with cute characters and happy music, children were 40% more likely to exhibit aggressive behavior after playing. So basically, from the study, it's saying that even with violent video games nowadays, with all the graphics, the violent video game still isn't causing aggressive tendencies. Which this is why brings me to my conclusion, which is just mainly involves the person and their emotions. So finally, solutions. Some solutions that I have is basically just set a time limit. If the children is below the age requirement, they should just set a time limit for an hour. The parents talk about how children are spending so much time, but they're not enforcing these time limits. And the second solution is constantly monitoring your child, see what video game they're playing, what video game they're buying. A lot of children just give them money to buy the video game that they want without actually checking the age requirement on it. And finally, the most important is just say no to a video game that he or she wants to buy. If you're too afraid, you will develop these aggressive tendencies. So these three, I really believe that these three solutions are best to counter the rebuttal of people saying that violent video games are causing all these aggressive tendencies, their children are becoming more violent, how there's more shooters because of these video games. And yeah, that's basically my conclusion, and hopefully I persuaded you guys. And thank you for your time.